We want to know a lot of things. We've got all kind of quests in our life. One of the biggest quests is, how do we know ourselves? Stay tuned. Hello, my name is Father Mike Nanny. I'm a Catholic priest. I'm coming to you with a deep desire that you can start to know God in a new way. I'm a person who's always on a quest to know God. I like to study the Bible. I like to be able to dialogue with other people about their stories of what God has done in their life. That's one of the joys of my ministry. But there's something that's even more important, and that's the quest to know ourselves. Now, life is filled with quests, isn't it? We want to discover the unknown. We celebrate Columbus for his quest to discover the new world. We laud scientists who are able to discover penicillin or a medicine that can stop polio and replace a defective heart with a good one. A golfer discovers a new way to grip her club and starts winning tournaments. A businessman gets an MBA and discovers how to make a new product a financial success. When I think of this quest, I think of my great love for mysteries. I love novels. I love the TV program that is presenting a situation that seems almost impossible. But then somehow they get through, and I latch on to these escapes from tragedies, this escape from not knowing who some murderer is to finding the answer. It really is important for us to find quest, and it makes life exciting. I think it's part of the curiosity we all have in our own heart with trying to understand things, and we long to go deeper and deeper. But we're looking for something more profound in this discovery. I was reading recently from Jeremiah, and God speaks of a quest to probe into our mind and heart. Jeremiah said, I, the Lord, alone, probe the mind and test the heart, to reward everyone according to his way, according to the merits of his deeds. That's from Jeremiah 17:10. Well, although the discoveries of medicine and sports and business and even a TV mystery are important, they're all less important than the quest to know ourselves. Unfortunately, we often put aside the quest to know ourselves and choose the more tangible, the more easily obtainable quests of travel or science or sports or business. How do we know ourselves? Well, I think there are many ways, but one of them is kind of an interesting challenge. It's to study our reaction to people in our lives. An examination of our preferences and our rejections gives us a good handle on who we are. Stop and think about that in your own life. And that can be the people in your family. It can be the people at your work, the people in your church. There are some people that you're just naturally attracted to, and these are the people that you want to talk with, that you want to spend time with. But there are other people that you avoid. And somehow, just by maybe even making a list, putting it down and writing those people that you're attracted to and those people that you're repulsed by, and looking at them, it gives you a deep insight into just who you are. And it speaks of your preferences, and it speaks of even more than just kind of intellectual things. There's something deep down that oftentimes makes us attracted and sometimes makes us repulsed at others. Another way of doing this is not only who repulses us and who we're attracted to, but it's trying to understand what other people say about us. Have you ever thought about that, of really listening to what other people say of you? And what I'm saying to you is not something that you're going to have to wait until your funeral and hope that you can get an ear out and find out what people think. But listening to what people think about you and say, maybe in a moment of quiet, in a moment of honesty, and listening to what they say. That whole quest of listening to what other people have to say about us is something Jesus asked of his disciples. Remember in Matthew 16, 13, he said, "Who do people say that I am?" Well, if we have a good friend who'll speak the truth, that person should be held with great and tender and strong perseverance. And then you get the question of, who are the people that we surround ourselves with? Are they the people who will really be honest and tell us who we are? Or are we getting a lot of yes people, or people who are really not being honest? We can spend our whole life wanting people to know us. And I'm thinking of people who seek glory in sports, in the media, but never take the time to know themselves. That's the other aspect of this, listening to what other people say. If you have a good friend, that person is going to say the truth, and you're really going to be able to know yourself as you hear them say it. But if you're only looking for people that are going to give you praise and adulation, people that are going to lift you up and perhaps really not say the truth, that can be a real block in knowing yourself and knowing who you are. Now, there might be some people saying bad things, and they might be saying good things about us. But I think it's important that we put that ingredient of listening. And it's a battle to stop and to open our ears, open our eyes, even open our hearts. It's so true that we can easily be distracted, can't we? Sometimes it's painful to stop, and we prefer to run away from that, because when someone that loves us, or even someone that challenges us with bringing out the negative things in us, that might be painful for us, and we don't want to hear that. But we need to be willing to stop. We need to be willing to look eye to eye with that person. Again, that might be positive, it might be negative. And one of the real tests of being a listener that wants to open their hearts to allow the truth of who we are, is, after stopping and looking, we're so intent on what that person is saying, we ask questions to make sure we're clarified what they're saying. And that takes a lot of guts sometimes. And then even repeating what we think they said. And sometimes when we repeat what we think they said, that might need to be clarified. That isn't what I meant at all. And so you work at coming to a real understanding of what that other person is saying to you, and going. And then the bottom line of that all is just being in the now. Listening is in the now. It's not allowing yourself to run around thinking of the past or concern about the future. But a person who lives in the now, this is all that counts. But there's another, I'm trying to think of ways of my own trying to understand who I am. And one of the most important ingredients of knowing ourselves is facing time of crisis. We find ourselves really in crisis. Perhaps we fail. We've been trying to do something all our life. Boom, we fail. Or a secret is revealed that we didn't want anybody to know, and we feel embarrassed by that. Or maybe we lose security. We lose our job. We lose a house. We lose those things that are able to hold on to. We might even have a broken relationship. Or perhaps someone comes and says, We have a sickness that might even be fatal. There might even be a moment when something happens and we're separating ourselves from God. These moments are true moments. They're moments that open up to us the reality of who we are. And it's judged by how we react to these things. Do we run away from this and deny it? Or are we willing to face it and embrace the pain and hold on to it and allow this to become, again, a real portal that opens a door, allowing us to know ourselves? I want to talk to you about some other things, but I want you to hold on, if you will, for just a moment. I've got a message that I want to give, but I want to come back and I want to talk about another aspect among a couple more. And this is the struggle we have with knowing ourselves, because we spend so much time comparing ourselves to other people. I want to talk to you about that, so stay in tune. I don't know about you, but I believe in prayer. I really believe that the Lord hears us when we pray, and I believe that miracles can happen when you pray, and those miracles might not happen if you don't pray. I know you share that faith with me. Well, in my excitement about prayer, I've prepared something for you. It's called Pocket Prayers. Look how small it is. It's filled with wonderful Catholic prayers, the Our Father, the Hail Mary, the Creed, the mysteries of the Rosary, the acts of contrition, the morning and evening prayers, and there's some special Catholic prayers that I know you love, like the Memorare. But it's also filled with very special prayers, prayers that are going to touch you day in and day out in your life. One of the prayers that I like very much is the prayer for healing. And even a prayer in financial problems. And oh my, we're struggling with that now. There's even a prayer for getting ready to drive. Please, I would love for you to have this. For your donation of $1 or more, this is something that you can put in your pocket, you can put in your purse, and pull out at all kinds of exciting times, or even waiting times. It's something you can use at work, you can use it at home, you can use it at school, when you're waiting for a bus or you're waiting for the doctor. And I'd love you to get this and perhaps pass it on to a friend, a wonderful gift. Please, would you contact us? You can do it by email, by letter. Please pick up the phone and also contact us through the web page. Remember, Pocket Prayers, a powerful way of making prayer alive and God coming into your life with blessings and peace. Thank you. Please let me hear from you. We're talking today about the quest to know ourselves. We're all faced with that. It's a real common battle. One of the aspects that's important to think about is that we often judge ourselves and who we are by comparing ourselves to other people. For example, we might judge another person and say, oh, she is just like that star. Oh, she is just like her Aunt Mabel. She is just that. And again, rather than get to the heart of who a person is, it's in relationship to another person. We compare and put value to that other person. That person might be a movie star. It might be a great business person. It might be a person that has all kind of talents for speaking out and being very verbal. Well, you have all kind of fears of being able to stand up and talk in front of other people, or even vice versa. We pick someone and we somehow make the value of our life in relationship to that person. Now, that could be a bad thing, or it could be a good thing. I'm thinking of an aspiration to be a saint. There might be a very holy person that we've heard of, and we see them giving to the poor, and we see them sacrificing their lives as a missionary. We say, oh, that's what I want to be. And we relate our image to that person, which isn't all that bad. Or or I think, for example, of a teenager. A teenager might be struggling to know who he or she is, and they find a person that they really admire, maybe in sports, maybe in a songwriter, a singer, and so they wear the clothes of that person, they talk like that person, they try to put on that other person, and it's all in this quest to know ourselves. I mean, it's fascinating. This is all kind of like a process, isn't it? It's a process of trying to get to the answer of who we are. And so many times we do it in relationship to another person. There's another aspect that's important, and this is the blame game. And how do we play the blame game? Well, the question is, how much do we run away from responsibility? Part of the process of coming to know self is stopping the blame game. The more we blame others, the less we're able to look at self. And on a personal level, if only this person were more creative, we could have been a success in business. And we blame someone who is part of that business organization. Oh, they're the problem. And if my parents had given me more positive support, I'd not be plagued with these negative feelings about myself. Oh, and if I had a better pastor, the church community would be better. Oh, we can find all kinds of people that we can blame. But then we move on to the world scene, and that moving away from the personal to the world scene. If war takes hundreds of thousands of lives, we tend to blame politicians and military leaders. And when we hear the story of gang violence with drive-by shootings, we blame indifferent parents and irresponsible police officers. And when the media is flooded with profanity, indecency, and even sacrilege, we blame liberal artists for their corruption of freedom. And then the big corporation head takes unimaginable bonuses that leave countless people unemployed and homeless. And we blame an unregulated and greedy class of elites who have moved out of any moral constraints. Well, as I reflect on my blame game, with so much of the evil in my life, I can get caught up short by a sentence from a reading from James. Listen to this quote from James. Where do the wars and where do the conflicts among you come from? Is it not from your passions that make war within your members? That's James chapter 4, verse 1. James says that there's a connection between the evil out there and the way we deal with conflict in our families and even in our church and even in our hearts. We should be spending less time blaming others for the way they are doing and acting, and look more to the way we can bring Christ's truth and justice and love to the conflicts that we experience in our hearts, in our family, in our community. The blame game is often beyond our immediate ability to change. On the other hand, we can deal with conflict in a Christian way in our own lives. What this means is our simple and quiet way of dealing with our immediate world has a way of reaching out to affect the world. And this is all saying that the principle of Jesus, which is so strong, the mustard seed, that small little seed, can grow to something big. The little piece of leaven that you put into the dough can allow the bread to blossom and grow into a delicious loaf. The blame game is a terrible escape from what we're talking about today, which is the quest to know ourselves. If we can stop blaming all those people, and that doesn't mean that we don't call people to account if they're needing that. That's important. But in this challenge today, we're talking about getting to know myself and spending more time not pointing at others, but looking at myself and knowing that if I am able to do something to really affect the wholeness and goodness of who I am, I can know myself. And that knowledge of myself can blossom out in a beautiful way to changing the world. The prayers, the sacrifices, and the courageous acts of love of a paraplegic tied to his or her bed can have earth-shattering implications of stopping war, turning around gang violence, bringing respect and honor to the media, and letting justice win out over greed. Imagine that. A woman, a man in a bed, tied down, knowing themselves as a power and a strength to change the world. Ooh, and that's the Christian, the Christian quest and the Christian challenge of all of us, of allowing to know ourselves and face ourselves, and accepting that in the context of Christ. It really affects things in a big way. That means that right now, no matter what's going on in our life, we need to really, really accept our responsibilities and be challenged by them. Well, another little thought that I would ask you in your quest to know yourself that I've been thinking about is our aspirations speak a great deal of who we are. What do we long to accomplish in life? What takes up the majority of our thinking? I'm thinking of my aspirations to be a priest and then here to use mass media to share the good news of the Lord. This helps me to know who I am. What about you? What are your fantasies? What are your dreams? Look at them, and don't just be following after them. Grab them, look at them, and know that this can be a real insight into who you are. Well, I got to tell you another one is dreams. And I'm talking about the dreams that happen at night. I'm a big fan of recording my dreams. Dreams are symbolic representations of who I am and where I'm going. And even though many of my dreams can seem to be irrational confusions and the height of something that really doesn't make sense, with a good interpreter, I can know myself, and with a depth beyond any conscious level. Well, finally, if you want to know yourself in the midst of all these things that I'm throwing at you, we need time to listen to God. We need to be willing to stop and talk with God in quiet. We need to be people that are willing to open the Bible. The Bible is a wonderful revelation from God that as we read the stories of people that have encountered God, we become knowledgeable of ourselves. What about communicating with nature? It's true that if we can listen to God and we can allow the wind to move through us, or the sight of the mountains or a desert, all the realities of nature, whether in reality or even some of the beautiful artistic representations, they can be ways of us understanding ourselves. And as the quote from Jeremiah reminds us, God has probed us. We do well to seek his insight in our quest to know ourselves. In that knowledge, God's aware of our weakness, of our inclination to sin. God doesn't judge us in comparison to others. We are special, unique in God's eyes. You and I believe in prayer. Prayer changes everything. And I've prepared a wonderful little gift for you to help with your prayer. It's called Pocket Prayers. It's wonderful. It can fit in your purse, in your pocket. And you can pull it out and pray the Catholic prayers that we know, but also some of the special prayers that I've composed that I hope will allow God to come into your life with greater force. Please remember the prayer for healing, financial help, and remember also a simple prayer that is going to be said before you start driving. Remember, this can be used at work, at home, at school, while you're waiting for a bus or waiting for a doctor. It's also a wonderful gift to share with people you love. For only $1 or more, you can have this. Please contact us. Let me know that you're part of this ministry in a great way. God bless you. Thanks very much for being part of this ministry. It's not just a matter of you listening to me, but I hope that you're part of a prayer experience and a dialogue experience. It really is important because I want to hear from you. If you get a chance, would you write me a letter? Would you send me an email? And there's a telephone number there. And please leave a number. You might get an answering service, but we're going to get back to you, and we would like to hear perhaps what's going on in your heart. One of the things about the webpage that I'm excited about is that we have a thing called blogging. And in the blogging, you're able to share with us some of the thoughts that you have. And as we talk about this knowing self, who's the person you want to blame most in the world? But also, as we're talking about dialogue, I want you to remember too about the iPhone and the Android and now the computer app. If you have an iPhone, if you have an Android, and if you have a computer, you can come and you can hear my daily message. Every day I come with a 3 to 4 minute little message, a reflection on the readings from the Bible each day. Please give it a look, and know that you can be blessed. The name of it is I God Today. So go to the App Store or just come right to our webpage, wordnet.tv, and you can experience that. Now, I thank you very much for writing, and I'm going to ask now, would you pray with me for these people? And here's my prayer. Lord, help me to move deeper into the sometimes frightening quest to know myself. Please, show me who I am. Amen. Would you please pray with me for Julianne in Oklahoma? She needs to have prayer to get her mind off of her suffering. Rosie in Oregon, the Lord has given me some beautiful poems and music, and she wants to be able to share those things. Lord, take care of all my friends. Allow them to be able to receive your healing. And may Jesus' love for you always make you strong.